coming out. We are here to celebrate the words. Go ahead and Jessie Scrimager Galloway. No. And the release of first full-length collection, which Etched Press, Kevin Dublin, Living Room, we've had the honor of publishing. So Jessie's first collection, the press's first full-length collection after like 13 years, and the idea. You know, so I complain about San Francisco a lot because I love it. And wait, why boo? Anyway, so I complain about it a lot. But you complain about the things that you love, and I can never absolutely not love it because of all the amazing people who, you know, had the pleasure to know here. And first and foremost, you know, I mean, there's, you know, my wife, I have my wife here. But I got to meet Jessie. And through Andrea. And through all of that, to Jessie's work and words, which, you know, even when it's like, oh, you know, I know this poem, or still literally moves me every time I hear them. And one, because of the incantatory magic that's a part of the words. Two, because of all of the just like deep textures and like the human just compassion and way of processing, which just it's divine. And so, Not My Daughter, which there were supposed to be many copies here for you all today, but there are not. We just have our proofs and we're waiting. But I just want to say, let's give it up for Jessie. Let's give it up for our first full-length collection, and let's just show as much love as you possibly can with just raucous cheers, applause. Now. Just fucking phenomenal. We're being me, Kevin Dublin, Andrea Passwater. We can still hear me. Antony Fangary. Are going to be our Cleavage Collective, and we're going to be sharing some work in between, you know, Jessie's journey. But I just want that. We're just gonna go, and Jessie's gonna lead the way.
All right. I'm trying not to cry, everyone. I love you all, every single one of the people in this room, and I couldn't have done this without many of you. And I'm really happy to be doing my launch in San Francisco. With all of you beautiful people. Thank you all for coming, especially if the weather is always shitty when I'm here. Thank you for figuring it out and being here. And I am just going to stick with the poems and stop trying to talk. All right. Once and for all. All right. No one's baby shower. Birth mom says she wanted me. planned to keep me till 8 months. But birth dad moved from pills to needles to lost. No one said congratulations. No one filled pastel balloons with helium, hung twisted streamers, smoothed the mint green tablecloth. No one cut vegetables, made tiny cucumber sandwiches with the crust trimmed, mixed the packet of Hidden Valley for dip, and arranged the crudité platter. No one made the heavily frosted cake. No one joked, "Come on, the baby's fully baked," as they suggested adding vodka to the orange sherbet, 7-Up, and cranberry juice punch. No one rolled their eyes at the diaper games. No one spouted ungrateful complaints that the family is cheap, because the gifts were mostly onesies and pacifiers. No one placed their hand on mom's belly, felt me kick, tried to predict my gender. Great. This is me. At 3 years old, my adopted family put me in an Annie look-alike contest. I just wanted to share that with you. That happens. That's weird, and you should not do that with your adopted child. Anyway, the next slide though is the family. What I'm about to read is derived from that. If you can advance the slide. Yeah. So this is all I knew until I met my mom. This is it. And so all of these words I hung on to my whole life, which are primarily natural mother was interested in arts and crafts. Her prayers laced through veins, fingers pressed in steeples, wrists resting atop her belly, crossing anima, animus, X and Y. I was stitched by her whispers. Bits of tissue anchored to psyches, she carved the base of my spine. Its rounded wings, she stacked tiny bone fists, each a wish, instruction, moored by her marrow, central, nervous, hope. She painted our stories inside my skull, her cathedral ceilings. She separated the sea in stained glass, chipped sky to match our eyes. It's hard to turn pages when you're shaking. All right. This is about my adopted dad. Dear Dad, I know you wanted a boy. Wanted to name him Luke. Dreamed he'd live out your sports scholarship dreams that were squashed by a busted knee and Vietnam drafting. But white baby girl came up on the list, so you taught me to throw. Bird claw my hand, line up stitching, count during windmill wind up. 1, 2, 3. Audibly add umph on 4. Flick and release my wrist and follow through. Make the first one fast, trap it inside, just inside their kneecaps. Scare them a little. Intimidation is your friend. Only hit them if they're a known slugger and they've got men on base. Then cross-lace and aim straight across the plate. Give them something to swing at. Trust your team in the field. Now practice. The game depends on you.
This is from eulogy. It's obvious in the hospice, the trajectory of this skipstone across water, my body, and arc and pop into another bedside chair. I feed my father his last full meal as he watches TV, and I think how many hours of my childhood must have been as silent as his watching John Wayne or Lucas McCain as they lay down and outlawed the same way they had in his young eyes decades before. He blinks, Through the course of our lives, humans shed 40 pounds or more of skin. And today, with his sickness, it's like he's lost it all at once. A cough and spittle remind me of Ecclesiastes. There was a time for Stetson fedoras, for king gold caps, a time to be bald and know the breeze, to laugh, to lean against car door and ask, how will I approach dying? Like the clank of pots being put back in the cabinets. A salmon swims to her birthplace to spawn and die as a wave ends its time as a wave to ocean once again. That means the cardinal bobbing at the fruit of the dogwood tree is only hunger. The siren flaring in the distance is only death. If I had one wish for my father's body at the end, it would have been not to see the frown. If I had two wishes, it would have been to send his body into the earth with a hat. He had a style. To him, time was precious. He didn't play games. He quit school because recess was too long. Time was being born 5 minutes before Emmett Till and living through the same South that slaughtered him. Time was survival. Apples ripening through the last frost. Time was helping an uncle sharecrop cotton, cousins in the field, peanut butter sandwiches without water, and another uncle lynched in a tree on the same road as church. Time was a 7-foot fishing rod, a strong line, a sinker, and a live worm wriggling on the end, sending ripples across the pond. White-tailed deer-tail still as she nibbles acorns from the ground. Time was reeling it in, was the blurry fur at the end of iron sights, traces of scales spill and sound of skillet sizzle in the evening. Cricket chirps bounce outside the door as doeskin falls to the floor. Time was migration, making way in a station wagon up several states to the projects up north to save. Time was being called nigger less often than a living wage. Time was muzzle of tanks, main guns, scraping street lamp on the corner with screech and flicker, spark and lean. Road shadowed like an asphalt meadow under racing overcast. Time was night with street lightning and still thunder. Blood whimpers, curdles out of a black boy's face as he's lifted from the concrete, blinking. White cameras flash. Time was, you couldn't tell if eyes were slowly closing because the moonlight was so bright or consciousness was gone. Time was silent crickets burrowing into the ground. Time was not meant to be spent on the invisible. Not math or poetry, not God, not the wind. Time was mouths to feed.
Heirlooms. Mother, I prayed, played in rough lace, covert abrasions, tomboy trees climbing, straggling limbs, the rugged pink, the breaking diversity of lust. I am your daughter, holding breath for baptism, holding the familiar weight of bosoms like apples. I salt the sweet bite of fruit, mother. Bells ringing from all the churches, mornings of my childhood. Silty basements, I kept my eyes on tan tiles, lace bobby socks, patent leather heels. Dragged mine to mark across cracks, lines and lines, impatient, matching disciples to deeds. I preferred Sunday school games like, Mother, may I take one step forward? Well, whatever. Lisa Renee, get over here right now. We don't do that in this family. There is pleasure left in lunar imprints, the linger of bruises on a bicep. These Baptist-shaped trees, blocks at a time, then limbs to snap. It is me, remember, I am your daughter. Switches lashed against me, bent over a banquet table. Go wash your hands. Christmas was wrapped by the rattle of plates, the salt of streaming tears. Thank you, Lord and Leviticus, for blessing us with this meal. Pass the salt, take obscene bites, ask for another piece of ham. Take, eat, this is my body, broken for you. Great-grandmother's china, pattern worn by fork scraping, scouring. I would not have chosen this red. I would not have taken their name, except in vain. I would not have begged, please don't. She would not have spit. You are not my daughter. You are not mine. But I am, even without you, still searching for sated communion, the milk-drunk gurgle of a breastfed mouth. Have mercy. My crooked pinky has two stories. Crooked pinky has two stories. The time it broke, I dove to catch a foul ball in wet grass. Bent it backward in three-leaf clover just before the fence. The time of stitches is known as my dyke chest shoved back from the threshold, not in this house. Door slamming on me, punching through to sever tendons. The enemies are known as the devil in me, mother, and wielding fists. My great aunt Flossie says, God heals if you believe. Naked but bent fingers, all scars, I dip skillet cornbread in buttermilk. Each mother calls it their mother's recipe. Take off my wedding ring, spread my fingers into crook-necked dandelions, wish to reap the roots, name the mother who loosed the soil, who held the spade and said, this is for your own good. You better call out, have mercy, with the Lord's name for a reason, goddammit. And this is In the Shadows. Grandpa was no simple arc, like a scythe, but a spectrum of real moons, pale and mottled, crater-marred phases waning. Once, Grandma was in frequent brown eye blinks, like a young rabbit grazing, ears up, before being cast in the shadow of an osprey swooping. She remembers his guttural grunts, number 3, a sling blade before the hollering. Her inner ears open petals, offer cutouts, moons full strawberry and thunder, years captured in hidden prayer beads, whittled pine, rose quartz, and agate sky. When we arrived, she said she heard him say, I am sorry, amidst tears, reflecting hospital fluorescence, a hum buzzing. He was scrimshaw, skin like an etched sea. We let her believe, stayed for her, softening our voices in case he could hear us talk about him in third person. Some paced the halls as his breath shortened. On the brink, we held hours and counted. We did not unplug the insistence of the monitors.
They called him Jack, a family history from my grandmother. Jack Rabbit. The story goes, when Grandpa's daddy went to the courthouse on his wedding day to pick up the license, was a clerk behind the desk asked for his name, sir? And Grandpa's daddy, who hated questions, said, Tolly Perry, all staccato-like from the pit of his gut. But the clerk, not catching a hint, went on cheerful as a blue jay. And the middle name, sir? Just a smiling and a writing. So now Grandpa's daddy, whose lips was thin as a nail file, whose cheekbones was diving sparrows, answered in a low and lumbering drawl, reckon I ain't got one of those. But the clerk insisted. Well, sir, I got to put something. You got a nickname, perhaps, sir? And so Grandpa's daddy leaned in close, bearing 9 yellow teeth. He said. They call me Jack. Jack, sir? Double-checked the clerk. 'Cause I'm quick as a jackrabbit, winked Grandpa's daddy with his cheekbones angled on the clerk and his trigger hand moving to his right coat pocket. Right above the rim of his belt shoved a metal flash, and the clerk, see, liked to choke on his own spit, wrote it down without another word. So when Grandpa's daddy left the courthouse that day, told him those papers under his arm, whistling across the dirt road to meet his wife. Before he ever was Grandpa's daddy, well, everybody called him Jack. Chicken scratch. The farm chickens was picking at the ground, didn't know nothing from anything, just lived inside the day. A bright centered circle with edges like the rim of tin can when Grandpa's daddy came in from the fields all sweaty, toting bags of cotton, seeing the pies on the windowsill but no cornbread on the table, said, "Woman, what you been doing all day? Wasting time? Baking pies like there ain't no real work to do?" And Grandpa's mama went, "Lori, just 5 more minutes on that cornbread, Jack. Be ready right after noon." But don't nobody backtalk Grandpa's daddy. So he toppled 2 hot pies off the open windowsill, fresh off the fire and steaming like kettles, knocked them flat on the dirt. And them chickens didn't know nothing. Just went to picking at them pies, so hot the fillings burned their throats from inside out. And one by one, them chickens dropped dead in the dirt. One by one, I reckon, them pies fed the soil. High noon. Now, by 6 a.m., there was all of us working in the fields, Grandpa and all his brothers and sisters, Grandma too after we was married, everybody hoeing and picking and lifting spades and sliding sieves and pulling apart cotton heads till noon sharp when the dinner bell rang. And right there, all them tools would drop to the ground. All them dropped at once, like a ripped bed sheet. And then fields too would mush with worn out leather shoes, all trudging to the porch like migrating birds, 'cause Grandpa's daddy was done standing on them front porch steps, toting a water pail, fresh white towel hung around his neck, didn't say nothing. Didn't have to say, "Come," as the brothers and the sisters and the wives knew how to stand in line. Wait to dip their filthy hands in Grandpa's daddy's water pail. Turn his towel round with the sins of their daily rest. And one by one, we crossed through the doorway, sat our cleansed bodies round the table for noon sharp cornbread.
Mercy. If you ask me in person, I'll say I'm glad my mother is dead. But when I dream, I long for her grimace. I want her mouth open, tonsil big, shouting, a window in the fuddle of grief. But I want her to shout through the broken glass, fist shattered by my 15-year-old dyke, not her daughter, severed tendons. I want her to shout through her family's Baptist, "You're going to hell" condemnations, to shout through her head shaken side to side, "No." I want to hear spittle, slobber flying as fists. I want her pounding glass with urgency like the dream is filling with water. I want her, desperate even if just to save herself. I really want to know, can you hear the sound of a daughter's hands on her mother's throat? Can you hear the mother say, you are my baby, always will be? Or do you hear her say, no daughter of mine? Do you leave it unexamined? Can you see us now, without pride or pound? I need things from her mouth, but no one can hear I'm sorry before our mouths fill with water and become just verbal and bubbles. Grenade. Cervical cancer has no grace, makes no apologies. Mother had never called for my help before. Help me, there's a thing coming out of me down there. She needed me to see the clot, a pomegranate, a rotten baby. Just get it out of me. She'd been hemorrhaging the family's whole visit, trembling, knowing I could be what killed her, ended all of this. Knowing if I were to touch her there, a swarm of bees would kick up off bite-ridden fruit in her father's backyard. Just get it out of me. I tried, twisted, right, left, ripping a bit, my hand cradling the warmth, the weight. I could not hold, fix it, fix anything. I called Dad, he called hospice. I rattled out 2 Vicodin, lorazepam, her razzle-dazzles, a blue and white swallow to the sky. I can't take this many. Her blood crusting my fingernails, she worried I'd given her too many pills. Now, I nursed the ghosts with my own liftings, knowing weeks shortened to days in my adopted hands. Today, I pluck seeds and savor the taste of staying.
English soldier killed his father 10 years after the occupations. And 2 generations later, we were in this room, jowls marred by that same bullet. Your language, England, always held like heavy rocks in Giddu's mouth, wilted his words into flaps of themselves. He would call me Khoaga, laugh at my weak tongue, and I think of shells splitting cobras, my family from the mouth. Dear America, fuck you. I'm just kidding, that's not the poem. To me, it though. I was 17 and blacked out, relieving myself on a tree, and you tackled me. It was poetic. And the red and blue lights flashing with the warmth that yearned in my leg, while your knee drove into my spine. I was American. For the first time, I was yours. Dear Europe, fuck you. I didn't mean that. That's not the poem. I just like saying it. You were a trigger that pulls sugar from strings. A residue on my mother's lips mouthing merci with a crowbar smile. A porcelain shell smoking my sister's tongue, covered in bile, cigarette slag, sopping dried skin from my father's scalp, stacking like dust, like melted crayons in an ashtray. Dear America, fuck you. Your passport is a well, a skunk tucked under an axle, waiting, an unpaid debt rusting from the belly. Dear France, fuck you. These aren't the poems, I'm just saying it. You're an old excuse for a new country, a thief of a timepiece, keeping tabs up on nothing but drywall, but myself, an apple rotting from the seed, a dieback, collapsing trees. Dear diary, her mother asked, does he smell Arab? I imagine sour cream, rusted leather.
This is called Bessie, which was the name of my adopted reflected on. In dreams, mother's hands reach from the coffin toward me, try to pull me back into her wind's tongue lash. Last words, her name, Bess, Bessie, extra S's, whistle screech, sky flipped, rumble, strike, storm. Purple gray, a lifted skirt, a cloud, no slip, whip weaves, burial dirt, cigarette ash, gravestone, rubble, dust, and autumn's turnt leaves. There's so much white. Candles, coffin lining, calla lilies, funeral flickers flash snapshots stitched, our uneven seams sewn, sealed with swigs, blood-stained sheets snapping like flags for each season. So much rubbish to clear, it is the Midwest. I am gulping mouth swallows, glass bottles, kissing cold coffin handles, a platinum cross, ghost hands. I hold tight. Like leaving tiny pieces of paper. It's good. All right. Catharsis. Each photo lighter lit and set to embers, snapped apertures, struck faces strained, cakes for ages, Christmas tree poses. The big gift held up like grandpa's big bats. The catch, a collapse like her casket, calla lilies. One slow week of wilting, the finality of nothing we can do, cancer. A hot burn, a quick tempered fuse, quietly releasing ultramarine, cyan, family history, little hisses caving. Each fluorescent saffron-tipped birthday candle waiting for its never-tell wish. Take time, but remember the quick, amnesiac ease of flames. Try to name the colors in fire like there's a spell. Karma, cinnabar, sienna, rust. Repeat, mother, I raise to salvage you. Craning to the stars, watch ashes bluster, blow ancestral kisses to the wind. Wait, agape, a bundled child catching her first flakes.
Was cheap Curtis clothes, the pickle gossip of aunties, was lost wages at dinner table on a long, hot summer empty like a lotus blossom opening with no buds. Time was houses to sell and translucent refusals, not enough credit, no colors, or we can't sell to you. Great fonts damp and hungry watches ducks fly away. Time was dust unsettled in the light highway patrol station window. Time was lifting the city's trash in the garbage trucks as Medgar Evers was assassinated, as John F. Kennedy was assassinated, as Fred Hampton time was. Selling the shoes from feet to feet brothers when father vanished, mother was in the hospital sick, gratitude left like white dew glistening in Dawn's lip. Time was the back and forth from Smithfield to Chapel Hill to the medical center, Shirley Caesar playing, I remember Mama in a happy way. Time was memory of youngest brother introduction, asking him to ask a classmate, does she love me with all her heart? Should I worry when we're apart? It's a lover's question. Time was a head nod, a hand slapping the other. The cake is baked. Time was marriage, 35 years till infinity. Time was prognosis, husband's shoulder heavy under tightening hand. Time was insurance. Decades of payments and two names evaporating. Time was, if it was for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all. Time was being born the same year as Otis Redding, posing at one of his final concerts in the Chitlin circuit. In the same year, he outlived him. Time was, he wear a two-piece suit, clean shaven, and ladies would think he was the big O. dancing to shake as evening cicadas sang back up. Time was, it make him empty a bottle. Corn liquor, the darkest whiskeys and moonshine that once glistened in the same light as Percy Flowers' mash. Time was tourmaline, aquamarine, fire opals made jury above him. Time was vapors from sewage drains at 7 a.m. and a walk through them after a long night of mop and Newark, New Jersey. Time was 22 hands of talk on a Saturday afternoon, up $4, one from Mr. Matt. Drop that jack of spades on his spread and go out covering a 10. Time was exhale mall smoke upwards toward ceiling fan and dispersed in the blade's wake. Cigar tote, never inhaled, hugging the walls, the furniture straddling each visitor's back. Time was a drive to Virginia's border and Emporia for Powerball tickets, but Saturday comes again and can't kill nothing and won't nothing die. Time was ironing 5 collared shirts and slacks on Sunday evenings to a Bonanza marathon on TV. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Time was a phone call. How you doing? Kick it, but not too high. Time was the first stroke, was 9 children. Time was meeting 24 grandchildren, second stroke, and 19 great-grandchildren, third stroke. Time again was survival. Time was, watch where you put those hands. I know what you've been doing. I can tell by the little hair that's growing in your palm. And when you open 5 fingers, see, that's the one you use. Time was the distance between rocking chairs on 202 Collier to 903 East Lizzie to 609 Tower Street. Time was Camelia's bloom as the land freezes past afternoon. Time was diamond in the back, sun rooftop, digging the scene with a gasoline. Down Brightleaf Boulevard towards Rose Street was another white rocking chair and Mr. Lyle's laughter, the color of daffodil trumpets. Time was a third Sunday morning. Like if I were you, I would say yes. And Suge Avery plead, speak, Lord, speak to me. On repeat instead of church. Time was knowing sinners have a soul too. Like silence interrupted by hear that lonesome whippoorwill. He sang too blue to fly. I remember the wrapping of a tourniquet like any gift. I remember a fist clenching as worms surface in the rain. Heavy droplets splatter into puddles like bubble wrap pops. Rolling the dining room table chairs as pulled out. I remember whisk of his hand moving towards pistol in the distance. Wild beast trotting lift off, run with the knowledge of Marvin Gaye's end. I remember the dry underside of a tucked-toed trailer, roll of tires, shoulder splash, sonic entanglement with belt buckle, leather on leather snap. And a hammer firing, whoa, mercy, mercy me. No, things ain't what they used to be, no, no. I remember mist lingering above the road at dawn. I remember searching for how long is long enough to be in a city of hills like mountains of fireflies all lit up at once. Mercy, oceanic, like being washed ashore after drowning. Time was an opportunity to return to make mistakes. I never proved I could write a poem and read it to him, but I learned hearing is the last sense the body loses, which is why after feeding, I turn off the TV, play music, and now, over the grunts of beetles and rackets of calm, I'm so glad. I said, I'm so glad. I know that trouble don't last always. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord, I want to know what shall I do? What shall I do? What shall I do?
In a dream, my dead mother came to me as a big-ass, big-mouth bass. Yes, human size. Ability to speak, though slobbery. I pulled up to a lake in a red Honda CRV, and she hopped from the water's edge to the car, then opened the door, slosh-hopped into my back seat, exasperated, told me I was late. I can't remember anything else. Don't forget, Grandpa loved to fish, Mother's name was Bess. The unconscious conflates. Remember that Billy the Bass Bad? Grief wishes. It was an easy. Grief wishes. It was as easy as mounting your dead on a plaque to play any phrase from their mouth over and again. This is called Comfort. Still writing the same affected by her death poems, but grief isn't fire, can't be squelched by tears, isn't fooled by bourbon's smoky sadism. Her echo is no longer a wind-whipped trees transferred from one town to another disaster. I should shut up. I am no longer every day thinking of her rough hands in the casket, knowing the cruel never make peace. No longer motherless, I now know comfort in arms of consistency, softness in blue eyes. What I want now is fried chicken, mashed potatoes, extra gravy, and good drugs.
My hands have pain on them.
Get an Android.
It is an Android, it's an iPhone case though. I want people to think that way. Kha, it's Arabic for shit. I read about some of the museums in France, about the stolen artifacts displayed in France, a strained cultural exchange of speaking of art, one that remains a verse of echo just of France. My mother was young when they taught her the language. Like imprints filling in the creases, throating France, a shade of tongue marks becomes something of status, something of luck drawing sludge for a trace of France. Nile bones in parks, freckled across museums. Just like other fucking Europeans, just like France, the stories of the French shooting the nose off the Sphinx, erasure, if not a gesture, spelling France. I spent nights in liquor stores talking with Arabs, trying to tighten my tongue between blunts, between France. I learned to love myself in these liquor stores. I learned that I was worth loving in these liquor stores. Whiskey became a lone connection to home. Sheldon repeat, swallowing stiff in liquor stores. Drunk driving with one eye open at 17. The dry bleed passing, hey mister, at liquor stores. I try to tighten my tongue between blunts and swigs, palate pricking balm, communion like liquor stores. Sometimes I'm sober, devoid of identity, a tendency to pull, to clog, to liquor stores. Entry layered like lacquer on plastic pigments, plastic bottles, plastic blunt wraps in liquor stores. I learned to love ourselves here, the trains of sound. The closest I came to Egypt was liquor stores. Broken cot twigs cleaved between cheeks in liquor stores. Temptations held St. Antony like liquor stores. This is khuf, it's Arabic for fear. The other one, I made a mistake, that's shit. Did I say shit?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember, my bad. Khuf. Never forget your mother woke you that morning. You ran to the TV. She said explosions. A tower collapsing into itself. A stretcher of sand. Aware where you stood, how flags can flash like hammers, how fabric and color can beg. Never forget learning you were Arab. The first time letters collapsed onto you like soil. Never forget hating yourself, your food, your music, name, what burnt knuckle hair smelled like when your mother dyed her hair blonde, plucked your eyebrows into slivers. Never forget the wet wrinkle of her scream when the second tower fell. That it meant something was to come. Your parents changed their names, airplanes, random security checks, being accused of trying to start a caliphate, learning the word caliphate, the photo of Pope Shenouda, the trigger pull that followed. Never forget learning about Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Palestine. how you, your Persian friend, and your Afghan friend started a tagging crew called Arabs with Attitude. Even though none of you were Arab, white kids wanted to join. You told them, yeah, but you gotta get jumped in. How pink white flesh can flush. How easily abdomens give to driving knees when they first said never forget, and how bad you wish they would. When your friend's dad said they need to just nuke all the fucking Arabs. How stiff his jaw looked. The terror in your father's eyes when he saw you wearing a shirt that said diamond in Arabic. How he calls you every time there's a mass shooter. How he begs you to shave your face. How 14 people were killed near your house in San Bernardino. He begged you to shave your face. Never forget when your father told you that we deserve this. We changed the way the world travels. No other people have done this before. We have nothing to be proud of.
I feel like that's a hard hum to follow. And I also really wish I could sing, but I can't. This is called Some Dance to Remember, Some Dance to Forget. Birth mom tells me the last song on her car radio before she went in to give birth to me. April 24th, 1978 sounds like the Eagles, smells like Salem lights, looks like a water broke bottle. Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. I want to know was the swift removal of me from the room pre-planned. Relax, said the night man. We are programmed to receive. Was there some white-suited nurse pursed lip of judgment poised to swoop me off after the snip? My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. Did the nurse ask you then, out of epidurals, eyes opening and closing, one last push? There were voices down the corridor. Did you close your eyes while your mother spoke for you? I had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Mom, tell me, you didn't say no. I don't want to hold her. We're getting close, by the way, everybody. Thank you for your patience and fuck the projector. All right, naming. A name is a fingerprint, a cartography, the world's an identity given before all the scars. Birth mom says, I named you Jessica. Always shortened it, used to whisper Jessie, I love you. To finally be told what my name is, to read that it means gift. To try it on for fit, hymn it to JS or Jess, but catch myself turning in the bart or bar when someone calls Jessie. I have an origin, trace me back, count the rings, press tips for story, roll the ink, I'll spin Scrimager truths line for line. A name is a heartbeat, the repetition, thump, the thump. Each letter stroke crafts a signature. My mom gave me her initials, J.S., curves, to hold me. When you say Jessie, I can hear the wisp of my forehead curl swept back for a mother's kiss.
How the blacksmith reshapes metal. To do her work, the blacksmith extracts the iron from the ore. She first melts sand to liquid, then fires it into some hard, impossible thing, then beats it into something beautiful and possible again. Bangs and bangs and bangs. Long ago, they called this magic. And maybe it is. She's a young blacksmith, learning her trade, from one of the best smiths in the country, for all that matters anymore. Blacksmithing is a dying profession, but the blacksmith is still here, and because she's here, the metal takes any form she desires. It doesn't have a choice. The smiths who came before her taught her everything she knows. For instance, the blacksmith, by her very nature, propagates the spread of iron oxide. For instance, iron loses its red-orange color long before its ability to burn. One can never tell how dangerous a metal is just by looking. The blacksmith goes down the line of her forearms, reading off her mistakes, scars from years of burning. She remembers how she got them all. The blacksmith accepts there is iron in her blood. This is what the metal is for, to be beaten and bent. This is what she desires, to shape something new, to hit without probable cause. There's iron in her blood, and in her mother's blood, and in her father's blood too. The blacksmith changes form. The blacksmith will have whatever form she desires from the metal. Though the blacksmith has a form, she will hesitate to make anything in her image. She thinks about her blood, about its heat, how it can circle through her body like this, repeating. The blacksmith changes form. She uses her body as a lever, bashes the body of metal. The blacksmith never bends the metal in order to break. She never bashes her own body or the bodies of those she loves. This is a difference. The blacksmith never bends her own body in order to break. Sometimes, though, she does the things she doesn't do. The blacksmith is still human. The blacksmith hits without probable cause, hits metal as hard as she can. But metal is different, she thinks. It's hot and ready and waiting in the fire, haze around its hot white mouth like it's begging. The blacksmith changes form. The blacksmith bashes the body of metal. As her hammer rises, she looks upon what she's made. How terrible it is, but how beautiful, how inevitable. Silver moon. The moon tonight is near its end. Silver slash in the corner of our window, moon dull shimmer on your cheek. I look up at you, silver-skinned, spine bent, sliver of your ribcage in the moonlight, arcing like a bird's flight above our sheets. I want the slantways bite of your lips, your hips waning, silver slit between your teeth as your mouth rounds into an O. In this light, I want to make you like a new moon reborn. Want to remember your neck thrown back, your palm on my shoulder while I bow, silver-tongued at your waist, trace the river that bends towards your thigh. I want your glistening nails against my back, silver-edged, your fingers in my hair, your muscles tense against my jaw. I want you the way we will be, and the way we were. In your silver car on the sea cliffs, watching the ocean spray, our bodies hip joined as waves crashed against the bright fledged crag. I want you at 25 and 37 and 63. I want you rhinestoned and metal smooth, your silver lipstick on my chin. I want you in the places we've never been. In the soft glow of a movie theater projector, behind the silver latch of a closed dressing room stall, against the slope of a northbound airplane, under our chrome kitchen table. I want your hair silver-flecked, your back curved into a moon arc, your mouth singing silver songs to the chime of our mattress springs. I want us to know what it is to feel full. Your spine curved against my chest as we fall asleep, to wake up lazily long after the sun, to spend every night under this moon. Sweat glistened, silver light reflecting off our mirror as you say it to me again. I am ready for you to light me, light me, light me.
Barometer. I know you are not her, but what is your measure for a bad day? You've never seen a roof ripped off of a barn, sucked up in a vortex, 1,000 black shingles like a whirlwind of ravens conjured in your name, all the expletives preceding. During the years of lightning, in seasons, she twisted through my countryside with her slipshod picking up of precious things, dropped them, all thoughtless, slapdash into the lives of others. With you, I don't have to assess the aftermath, pile up the splintered boards, burst from behind shutters, or sweep up broken glass. I pray we are all cumulus clouds and calm breezes. All I want is the amnesia of trees this spring.
It's neon, red, pink, blue, bruises, an open sign. She's not just the blinding sun, she is when you blink to stare again. It's not just the feel of a pop-popping drum. It's that feel of the buying bass. It's not just the throb, it's a tapping, a thimble on another mother's drum thrumming. It's the smell of tin. It's hollowing, an open can, tasting, knife sharp, ratcheting breath. It's you holding the lid a dangle in your trembling fingers and knowing my need is a final tear to let go. Kevin, I don't know I feel like now is a good time to end, but I don't think I'm going to play Barometer. They can find it. You can also, if you go to etchedpress.com, order the book. That's not here. And I just want to thank all of you for coming and listening, and I don't know, I'm not good at this, but I just want to cry again. But I thank you all, and we shall mill about and eat snacks and love on each other. Yep. Thank you.